There is an even more liminal space within the void, within the world, that happens when the rebels succeed. There is an iridescent, almost scaly nature to you, Halcyon, especially as the shard of Chloe's failure manifests into this crystal, this something that melts into you. You don't remember specifically if ever in your life you were an architect or if you designed castles or if you had anything even related to that. But for some reason, in your hands at this moment is some sort of, honestly, like a character design apparatus, a sort of like tablet of a world created before you where you get to design what exactly this new hideout looks like.
Uh, so Halcyon in this kind of threshold space in this transitionary period is kind of drawn to this idea um, of movement, of return, and naturally being as morbid as they are. Uh, the first thing that pops into that, or I should say, clicks into place in their head is that this space is this kind of giant cavernous hearse. So there's this feeling of movement, of moving towards something, of finality, of process, um, and also maybe this kind of almost energy of grief and acceptance that comes here. But it's if a hearse could be a limo as well, it's kind of this big traveling space is almost what it feels like. And of course, naturally, there is a coffin in there occupying this space, which, or sorry, as they kind of mold it into action, this motif of scales and iridescence, of almost like a living, breathing, kind of the way a snake undulates, um, starts to fill the space and make it feel this paradoxical manifestation of both living and dead at the same time. And it's got the traditional, like, it's a hearse, so it's, I would say it's black, but there's this iridescence over the black that kind of starts to like twinkle into place.
Yeah, so for Chloe, her first assumption is that this is a limo, not a hearse.
Mhm.
And so she's a little disoriented but excited. But is there actually just like, is there a casket in here or is it just the sort of shape?
There is a casket sitting in there, but it might not be the first thing that draws Chloe's eye, at least, right?
Yeah, I think Chloe is the first sense is like, oh, vehicle, big vehicle, fancy vehicle, limo for us. That makes sense. We deserve it. And then as the sort of world comes back and she realizes both the sort of otherness of the space and also just, finally clocks the casket. She sort of freezes and sits very still and is not very comfortable with the idea of death, and is therefore pretty uncomfortable in this hideout.
I think for Arjun, he's well, at first at least he's kind of looking around. He's rather taken in by like honestly just the aesthetic because this is hitting that aesthetic tingle in his brain just super hard right now. So he's just looking around like all the colors, the iridescence, the scale. Like if you didn't know him any better, you could tell like he was just like starstruck. But if you those who did know him, he may or may not be getting ideas for his play and like settings and backdrops for this. So this is getting the right amount of like creative juices flowing for him. Honestly, even the casket at some point, like he clocks it. Like he eventually does clock it, and but it also sort of, as much as it creeps him out a little bit, like okay, wait, we're in a hearse, but a really nice hearse. But wait, this is wait, the dichotomy of this is fascinating. And then you can see his brain start turning as he starts slowly overanalyzing the aesthetic and just the dichotomy of like the ideas between death and just having it be so like iridescent and otherworldly and almost colorful in a way. So it's like he's he's going, just not creeped out. Like he's very very excited. Essentially, the best way I could say it.
Yeah, and is anything said to Halcyon, as Halcyon is the very clear like creator and designer of this space?
He'll look at Aldrin will basically look at Halcyon and just essentially give her like a very nice like okay sounding like honestly very nice aesthetic sense. Like this is beautiful, Halcyon.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. It kind of just came to me, you know? You would know, you're an artist.
How would you feel about being a set designer for when we start doing play at the community center?
Huh, a set designer. Never done it before, but who am I to turn down a job offer?
I mean, clearly you have the talent for it.
Oh my god, you're making me blush. Stop. No, say something. Give me another compliment. No, I'm kidding. Stop. And then I think Halcyon's gonna kind of look at everybody in the group and be like, well, since I'm kind of making this, is there anything that you guys want in here? This is our space. And I know that in my heart. So I think it should be representative of all of us. It's kind of just feeling like me right now. So
Those here, as y'all think about it, what sort of space, metaphorically even, provides comfort or exhilaration in whatever sort of design, in this like subconscious almost? What sort of space begins to map and carve itself out into this hearse world?
well, can I and you can this can be a no answer. I because I don't know if you have an idea for the coffin, but I kind of like the idea of the coffin like opening up into like this basement area.
Yeah.
That's like oh, I'm going down the stairs now, and like going into a space that could be like Halcyon's own vibe. And I feel like it's almost like this vibey, chilled out kind of like, like coffee house kind of lounge thing, um where there's, like it's kind of what you would expect to see on like a college campus or something, is a space for people to kind of get together. Very plush, again, still iridescent and undulating and weirdly animalistic in a sense, but a little bit more chilled out and cool.
So fucking cool. I love it.
Ah, shucks.
I'd imagine for Arjun's little space as it's sort of carved out, you pretty much hit it right on the nose, Joe. You essentially start seeing this auditorium slash theater stage start carving itself out into the world, like almost like a grand stage. A few rows of seats in front of it with like a almost like like what looks to be like a mezzanine kind of seating also off to the sides of it. Um, but instead of there being like props and sets on stage, you just find a simple like wooden chair, almost like something you'd find like in like a green room or like a and like backstage, kind of like where actors sit to like get their makeup done while they look at lines almost. That's because if this is like a place for us to relax, that's kind of the way I imagine Arjun would like doing it. He feels most comfortable when he's relaxing, looking at his lines, or even hell, even getting his makeup done before any kind of role or anything. That's the one time he feels like he can truly relax, be it when it's both acting and yeah. so still kind of it has that kind of still kind of grandeur of the stage there, but it's also a little bit more intimate just for him, kind of vibe. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and for Chloe, I think that it's not that there is a piece of the space carved out for her particularly. It's just that there's the sense of the bits that are still a hearse and are this like undulating snake pattern of iridescence. Like we can see out into the world, through windows, but the world can't see in. And that is what Chloe really needs right now, to be feeling safe.
Okay, so I was thinking, like, kind of playing on all of the themes. Um, I was thinking that Ren's room is you're walking further, and you kind of like are going down this like very narrow hallway that it like borders on claustrophobic. And as you're walking through, this darkness engulfs you. You can't see anything. You can't even see your hands or your feet. You start losing the sense of yourself as you walk through. And then eventually the hallway that you can't even see, you just know that you're walking through the darkness, opens up and you hear the sound of the ocean and you look up and you can see countless stars. There is nothing here except for the sound of the ocean and the galaxy twinkling in the sky. Nothing is visible except for the constellations. And so you like can like breathe in, you can feel that you are the heart of this vast universe. You are so important, but you're also nothing in the grand scheme of the world. And I think that's where Ren goes to relax. I feel like
Just an easy breezy, yeah.
yeah, like just like a this is where I am to chill out. Like I don't have any pressure. I'm everything and nothing, and that's me.
Yeah, I think for Varun, there is an immediate tranquility that exists within the space. And I think that comes in the form of red maple leaves sitting on branches as we continue our journey. And you hear that faint rustling that's rhythmic, that is consistent, almost like the offbeats of a metronome. Enough to tether yourself here, but also enough to tether yourself elsewhere. And all that is left is kind of the peace and tranquility that exists within this space. I also would like to humbly suggest that maybe there's a cute little fountain that's nearby that also kind of accompanies the branches rustling. There's also the tiny trickling of water droplets as from like a three-tiered fountain. It is not opulent or grand, it's elegant, and it's probably made out of some very subtle glass sculpture, very intricate. And instead of cascading out violently, it just gently pours out of the raised walls of each tier and trickles downward. And then the cycle continues once again. I like to think that within the glasswork, we see bits of snake informed design, whether it is scales or just the movement of the body within the glass itself, moving and undulating as well as the water begins to cascade downwards.
Speaking of, is this where your void crocodile lives? When
I would love for our little crocodile pal to sit here. Shall I describe our little crocodile pal?
Yes.
Yes.
I think within the waters of the fountain itself, we see amidst the tranquility of the surface of the water, suddenly a pair of very cute round eyes peer up from beneath the water surface and raise their head up towards where Varun is. And we see a very odd little creature. It is some sort of cross between an alligator and a fish and a serpent. It seems like a slightly smaller version of a sea monster that's been given sharp scales and tusks in the front of its mouth, and these four legs and this long, thick alligator-like tail. Um, and it is a makara. It is a type of mythical creature that exists within Hindu folklore. And as it raises up its little eyes at us, it begins to kind of like immediately pull itself out of the water and rest its long snout over onto the side of the fountain, looking at not only Varun, but also at everybody who's here, almost like a dog expecting for either a treat or a pet as it rests its head upon your lap.
As again, the hideout makes itself clear, makes itself essentially one of the safe room, like one of like large, like ever expanding safe room within the void as the world comes back. After tense leaving of each other, after tense dinners, and maybe a tense opportunity where Halcyon tries to see what some college students are up to, we get into our next day. And I want to ask my rebels that I have with me so far. Each day, every rebel can perform 2 everyday actions or 1 everyday and 1 rebel action. Let's start with everyday actions. Everyday actions is wolf at the door, check in, let go, let your hair down, read the wind.
I have an idea for Varun. It is as as healthy a coping mechanism as anything. Uh
I don't believe you. Let's okay, let's see.
uh I think I would like to read the wind. I think Varun, in the wake of everything that just happened with Mithran, I don't think he's slept well. There's tension in the house. He hasn't necessarily shared with the rebels at this stage how he's feeling. So instead, he will avoid his problems and
Yes.
go for a nice little jaunt around the city. He, puts on his most like airy little button up and nicely like tailored fitted trousers. He wears his signature kind of like autumnal colored bandana around his neck. Takes a messenger bag and hits the town to window shop, get a feel for the city, go and visit all his favorite shops. I'm sure there's like a fancy like kitchen shop that exists. And he goes and he looks at all the knives, all their fancy aprons that are meant for like professional chefs. And he just has a good time and is just taking the time to take in the city.
So pick a detail for me to introduce into this scene as you play through it. Would you like a new way your target's hurting people? Just like a horrible like crime happening, an unexpected meeting with an NPC, or a sense of the overall mood of the city. How kind of willing to interact with Varun is he right now as the provider?
Let's go. Okay, you get rights, GM. A new way your target's hitting people is hurting people. I rolled a die for it.
Okay. More and more with the sense of like understanding the void in the world as like, although two separate entities, two sides of the same coin as far as universes, as far as worlds goes. Material objects now, even when Chloe was your first target, things with words on them, things with faces and digitized information going through, there is this slight red feeling of like static electricity that just like doesn't burn necessarily, doesn't itch necessarily. Spidey sense, perhaps. You're passing through in this like kitchen store, and of course there are magazines on like a coffee table or something along those lines, or on like a taller counter, and like just brushing against your elbow there is this like visceral dissociative feeling, this look at the side of your eye, that your periphery of just red static. And there is a picture of Natasha Sheridan, the woman that you maybe briefly really saw yesterday, didn't really get to like fully take her all in, considering the overwhelming sensory overload of a conversation with your brother. Um, her face is on what seems to be the front cover of the local Caldera magazine. You are noticing, you're seeing that there seems to be like a little interview line where she answers some people's questions who are like small business owners. And maybe it's not even outright hurting in like a very conventional sense, but I think you're seeing what seems to be a very influential person in the community attempt to influence it in a way that will almost outright burn it out within like less than a year.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think Varun's essentially kind of like seeing the threads and the pieces kind of slowly sink into place. Um, and I think when he first sees this magazine, Varun notices it and like walks on over, picks it up from the stand, gives it a read over, and like mutters to himself, She's the journalist that's been bothering Arjun, I think." And then begins to flip through the pages of this magazine. And his eyes get like wider and wider. His burrows furrow more and more. As he just kind of like mutters again to himself, "Some help this is all going to be." And he starts placing all these pieces together of this, especially if folks have like called in or submitted questions and the answers are recorded in this magazine. He I think what he ends up seeing is like he notes the names of these places, and what he will do is immediately after this, instead of window shopping even more, he goes to some of these listed places from the magazine and tries to kind of like observe if there is a strain, if there is even improvement that they're uh experiencing, before coming to the conclusion of what you've just described of, this seems to be burning out our mom and pop shops more than it is helping them. And we see Varun like sat at a bench, kind of observing maybe one of the places of business, and he sits cross-legged and is hugging his own body as he rests his hand on his chin. Well, I mean, is she? I don't know, but maybe I should tell the others. Figure out if this is something we need to act on. Well, better to help folks out now and just play around with the idea than not make any progress at all. Then, and he looks around at like all, maybe like an older couple that's milling in front of this business. What is the end game here? And there's a moment where Chloe's face kind of flashes across Varun's mind's eye. He says, "Chloe, it's, her duty as the alderman and all the politics that goes into it. What's Natasha's scheme?" And I will sit there, Varun will sit there pondering, kind of placing his fingers against his stubble, contemplating that.
I think I can have Arjun go next. He's probably gonna do a wolf at the door.
Wolf at the door. Okay. So, which of those crises would you like to quell or keep the wheels turning for?
Probably he's gonna be putting in some work. Um, he needs some time to get his mind off of what just happened, especially with Natasha, the whole files thing. He needs some time to kind of process that, and I think some time away might, at his other job, might help him with that.
Gotcha. So, put in the work, mark in condition, and say what you do and how it wears on you. So, we are at the Gilded Lotus, yes?
Yes.
Do you want to describe a little bit of like what does it look like upon first entry?
So upon first entry, you're honestly true to its namesake. You're trying to, almost the first thing you see, like right before you enter the door, is essentially like this almost archway, I guess. like this archway basically composed of um it's like almost like a hedge archway almost, but it's kind of like adorned with like lotus flowers basically, whether that be fake lotus decorations, paper lotuses, or just or real lotuses that have been grafted on. It's very lotus heavy essentially, if you couldn't really tell. Um, on the inside, however, it's very vibrant. You can see inspirations come from different parts of Asian culture, whether that be some like a little bit of Japanese influence by the bar, some Indian influence from the core, the color palette, and even some like Thai, Philippine influence as well, coming in from just for the general lighting, um, and architecture. Almost, it's pretty much like a giant blend of Asian culture has been put into the inside of this uh, cocktail lounge. All in all, it's a very sort of chill vibe. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of busy people. It's not a whole lot of busyness going on, like at the time, at least when Arjun gets there. He does know that there's going to be a bit of a rush coming in for nighttime hours, so he just want to get in early while he can.
Absolutely. Like, everything considering, this is Arjun keeping the wheels turning. Arjun, you not only volunteer, you have this job that requires late hours of you, and you are also putting together the community centers like a play of some sort, and a ghost kind of your past has very much proved that she is still around, Natasha. Um, what is the condition that you would like to mark for putting in the work?
I think definitely it's teetering between angry and overwhelmed for sure, because honestly, I'm honestly probably leaning more towards angry because this is the God knows how many. This is God knows how many times like Natasha has basically like popped up in his life regarding something, and it's always
Hmm.
almost always negatively affected him or his image in some way, shape, or form. And he's just like, "Why are you here? Why are you so bothering me right now? Please just leave me alone." Like that's essentially what all the thoughts going through his head. Just why me? Leave me alone. I do not want to have to deal with you.
I want to ask, how are you treating your customers so far with this like angry, I think any normal person with no connection to the void in the world perhaps may be basically like about to burn out, but what is still driving you, but how are you still treating people?
So normally when Arjun's serving customers, you can tell he's not exactly like he normally doesn't like say like has like a huge smile plastered on his face. I mean like he has the customer service smile plastered on his face usually, but it's not like almost like a genuine excitement almost. But like even today, even if for people who've been here long enough and know him like regulars of the bar, they can tell like hey, he's not his usual self. Even he's being a little more stoic and angry than usual. Like it's even with all his acting chops, it's his emotions are still kind of showing a little bit through his kind of facade that he's trying to put on for working.
Absolutely. Um, and I think your presence, as animated as it can be, as influential as it is, like there's definitely a we're just gonna get like we're not gonna get anything crazy today, cocktail wise. So maybe
No, yeah, definitely not. He's definitely less a little less flamboyant, I guess you could call it, because
no.
this is definitely would be a time for Arjun to like show off in some sort of
You're not blending anything today.
no, like he's definitely just sticking to like the basic of basic cocktails today. Like if they want it, cool, you can have it. No like artistic flair, no like flair bartending, no like fancy tricks or anything like. It's just simple. Just it's really just simple bartending. Just pour some spirits, pour some ice, shake, woo a couple times. plop it down, and here you go.
I think Ren is gonna check in with her younger brother and see how that goes.
Totally. Okay. Checking in. When you meet with a minor covenant, the architect will tell you what pressing need of theirs you can meet to win their trust. Okay, so let's see how this goes, because this is with your younger brother. Your younger brother who is, remind me if I'm wrong, standoffish and a reminder every day that Varun instead was your younger brother.
Yes. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's pretty much it. But he attends the university, so
Yes,
you know,
a grind set guy. Do you have tarot cards around, or would you like me to draw something? Because we can actually like kind of randomly generate this.
Oh yeah, I'd love it if you could draw.
Totally. Okay, so this is the minor arcana that we are touching on. Okay. So this is the Knight of Wands, or in the Covenant list, the Envoy. Find them a patron who'll let them spread their wings.
Oh, great.
Interesting. Okay.
Very interesting.
Okay. You're gonna get one of those like rare like texts messages from Adam, where he's essentially, the text is like, "Are you working right now?" Just like somehow you can hear him be kind of like embarrassed and shy through just like the no punctuation or capitalization of his text.
Oh, this is perfect because this is exactly how Ren texts. So she's gonna text back, "Nope," and like probably like a heart emoji. What's up?
Can we go to a cafe?
Ren will just like basically text him, like send him the Google Maps or the maps to the cafe that's on campus and be like, "This is easy for you, right?"
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. And she sends the saluting emoji, and then
Oh my gosh.
and she'd be like, don't worry, I'll see you there."
And sure enough, a cafe like near campus, Adam shows up in what seems to be like, I think maybe, how did Adam used to dress around you?
Oh,
Like when you like live together at home?
yeah, like button up, like gray slacks with a belt, button up, like the belt, like the black belt, the gray slacks, like just very tiny businessman that dresses really well. But also, like, why are you dressing like you're 30 when you're
Yeah.
18?
Yeah, literally. I think
Yeah.
there's definitely something very there. All of the elements are still there, but like it's gotten fratty. Like the collar is a little bit like more popped, and the hair is a little bit more like spiky in like the duck butt kind of way. There's like an expensive watch that I don't think you've seen him have really before, but like the way that he sits down really attempts to evoke 30 when he looks 13. And again, there is this kind of quality of him like feeling embarrassed or kind of like vulnerable right now. He just orders an iced Americano.
Ren's probably gonna order the sugar, like the drink that has the most sugar, the sugariest
Of
drink
course.
on the menu. It's pink. It has whipped cream. And then she's also gonna order like a little scone for him because this never happens.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just gonna sit across from him and be like, "So yeah, you look great, my guy."
And somehow he doesn't even say anything about your drink, which is how awkward he feels. He says, "Thanks. My friends are like, you should put a little bit more flair into it so I don't look like old or something."
Yeah, because you you don't. Yeah, you're so young, dude. You don't.
I don't think I've never learned how to dress, I think. is what I realized.
Isn't it because, like, you just wanted to look like Dad? I thought you just...
He was like giving me like Ralph Lauren and shit. Like I thought it was cool, but then I like everyone in my field, we're dressing like nice and everything, but I'm like realizing like I didn't know who to ask about this. Okay, like I still don't even like, but like you like do you cut hair or something? Do you know anybody that can like help me style myself? I guess.
Oh, that's it? Oh, yeah. Obviously. I mean, look at me, right? And obviously. Oh, but you want me to introduce the two of you, or do you want it to be like a
Yeah,
down? Oh,
because
okay.
like I don't want what you got going on. Like it's a little too much for me, I think.
What does that mean?
I'm not ready.
For what? For what?
Can you have self-awareness, please? Like look what you're wearing.
What?
And then
I
on
look
me,
good. What? Okay, so you come to me for help, and then you insult me.
I almost called you Chloe. Donna, what is Ren wearing right now?
Ren is probably wearing like a graphic tee that has like it's a white graphic tee with like a sparkly cat that has
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
word art that says princess, and then her skirt is like pink and cuts off like kind of fashionably just right above the knee, and she's wearing knee-high white lacy socks and her standard 3-inch platform shoes.
So you're saying I should wear that?
No, but I'm saying that it's not a bad look.
Yeah, could you have any other people? do you do you have anybody that I could ask that isn't just you? Because that's awkward.
Why is it awkward? I mean, yeah, I have people, but like, why is it awkward?
I mean, I don't know. You moved out like a while ago, and it's like I don't really know what you do anymore. Uh,
Oh my god. I mean, it's not like you ask, right?
that's true.
Yeah. When do you need me to find these people for? I mean, not find, contact my friends and get them in touch with you. When do you need that by?
I mean, I have a presentation that I have to do. It's like one of those weird like local conference things or something that's like in 2 weeks.
Oh, too easy. Easy. Ren pulls out her phone and immediately texts Arjun and is like, all caps, do you know a stylist in the area that would do this pro bono? Like all caps. And she is hitting enter every word. So Arjun gets like 12 texts that is just like, do you know? Question mark? And she like puts her phone down and she's like, yeah, don't. 2 weeks. Oh, wow. That's so easy. Oh my God. Easy, Adam. So easy. Wow. My young friend is already on his way.
Everything you say is just so unconvincing and wild. Okay. Thank you.
What?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, listen, just because I left the house doesn't mean that I'm not your older sister. Ooh. So, you can text me whenever you want. I mean, not just about fashion or your hair or the way that you looked, but if you need advice on anything, I'm pretty good at everything, I guess. Not I guess, I know. I'm really good at everything.
I'm really good at everything. That being sort of the last few minutes of this little like surprisingly wholesome get together. You can mark world here, and you can make Adam a major covenant if you would like.
Let's go! Thanks, Arjun.
Excellent.
Okay, Halcyon is gonna let their hair down. So, because I'm a wee bit angry still from seeing people steal the items of the dead. So that is a roll against lack, I believe,
Yes.
which I got 2 ticks in that right now. So
Lack is the stress gauge, the precarity of your social situation. The more ticks, the closer you are to homelessness and deprivation.
okay, I got a 6 and a 1.
That is a hit, not a
That is
strong
not
hit, but a
okay.
hit. You
It's a
can
hit. I'll take a
mark
hit.
world and heal that condition.
Let's go. I'm not angry anymore.
What do you do just throughout your daily life to wind down?
So yeah, I would say this might be Halcyon's day off, or maybe Halcyon, like, honestly, for the first time ever took a day off to kind of process everything that happened. Um, and that kind of involves, I think, I think Halcyon's kind of a gym rat and kind of discovered like going to the gym. So I think letting their hair down is going to the gym, having like a really, really good workout, not talking to anybody, just kind of being like one with their physical body and pushing it to the limit a little bit. And then after that, you know, a nice long shower, flopping into bed, and just kind of resting and existing until like a really nice nap just kind of happens. The kind that you like close your eyes and then you open and you're rested and you feel awake and alive and at peace. The same kind of way like when you drink water after you're really, really thirsty, or you have like a good meal when you're really, really hungry, that kind of relief. And in that relief comes, you know, the feeling of being centered and feeling good, feeling a little bit less angy.
Laying your head down for this nap. Every now and then, you'll experience and remember something called a dream, Halcyon.
Ooh. Okay.
There is a vision here. There seems to be glamorous woman dressed in what seems to be this like these designer white clothing in a room like almost a computer lab. And as the quote unquote like camera angle or your perception of this dream like begins to flash and go in all sorts of directions, the woman finally turns around and her entire face seems to be a computer screen or like a monitor. There are 4 other people that are in this computer lab that seem to be approximately like your age or height, whatever that means exactly. And all 4 of them also have computers for faces, but all of them have the same emoticon, which is just like a standard colon parentheses, like cheeky kind of smile. Um, but in different ways, they also begin to glitch, and like there also seems to be like the greater than bracket to like make scary eyebrows over one of them, and or another one the smile begins to like melt and become more of like the indecisive sort of like backslash of a mouth.
Mm-hmm.
um and all of them with the leadership of the woman with the first computer monitor face are on computers, and there seem to be little text boxes like floating up and into the air. This was a waste of money. This is a waste of space. You're a waste of space. You're ugly. No one actually wants you to be around, and no one would miss you. No one misses dead people. No one misses dead people that they never want to see anymore. And then the only emoticon, the only like smile that ever remains or stays the same is the colon and parentheses on the face of the first woman and her computer monitor face. And then from your nap, which it could truly be one of those naps that feel like you overslept for 2 hours, but I think genuinely whenever you stir, it could have been maybe like 5 minutes long at that point until you were jolted.
And at this point, do I understand that these dreams are more spiritual, more than just dreams? Do I have that feeling and that kind of understanding?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think it's the type of a jolt awake, like whoa, but in the sleep calls back, especially because I agree. I think that was like one of those shorter, like impossibly long dreams in the span of a moment. You know what I mean? It's like I was there for hours, except you were asleep for literally 5 minutes. And I think because their body has been so spent, sleep calls again. And they're willing to fade into it, maybe even in the hope that there will be further understanding that maybe doesn't come. But when you wake up from a dream and you're like, I wish even if it's like a little scary, you're like, I wish I understood what my brain was getting at there. So maybe in an attempt to find some understanding as well.
Absolutely. With all of that information, Halcyon, in your head now, your new memories as not necessarily a mortal, sort of the ability to dream as a corporeal being, as all of that sits in you process, it is time to finally get into the rebel action phase of the investigation.
Let's go.
Halcyon, what is that text message?
Yeah, so that kind of text message frantically sent in between napping it reads, written out, not like the emoticon, like smiley face, computer people, need help, meet soon, smiley face with a bunch of exclamation points after it, and then they promptly fall back asleep and do not respond to any texts that come afterward.
Oh, that's a very distressing message to receive. Varun says when he does inevitably like read the text, probably between work and volunteering.
Ren's gonna send like just emojis back, like the woman with a laptop, the like detective emoji, salute, 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 and then like maybe the question mark emoji, but that's it. No words.
You receive Varun respond with "Meet today?" question mark sparkles emoji.
Ooh,
I think Arjun's gonna be like, he's gonna send a reply to one of Halcyon's like messages. Like, I'm sorry, did you say computer people?
Yeah, and Halcyon fully doesn't reply for like 2 hours. And then when they wake up, clarifies with meet now, see you soon, smiley face. And then another text that says community center.
Yeah. And notably throughout all this, Chloe has not responded in the group chat.
Interesting.
Fantastic. I text Arjun.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. I text Arjun because I can't text Ren about this. And Halcyon has a very interesting texting etiquette. So
I like how Halcyon's the interesting one. Ren exclusively emojis, but Halcyon's the issue.
It's not because of the texting necessarily with Ren, but so Varun texts Arjun and says, "Chloe hasn't really responded to the Rebel group chat in a while. Sends that one. Do you think I should message her? ... question mark nervous emoji."
Arjun's gonna be like, I mean, no one's stopping you. Why did you put the nervous emoji in there? And you can, he's like recording. He's like not even like typing this out. He's doing a voice memo.
And Varun replies to your voice memo with more text, being like, I don't know. My brother was being pretty tense about the whole Chloe situation, and I don't know if that's connected or if it's because of that weird little uh situation that happened in the community center. I don't know. I don't want Chloe to feel left out. Sparkle
Okay.
emoji.
Sparkle emoji. Okay, I mean, that's nice and all that you want to have her feel included, but I mean, like, maybe let's not get your brother even more mad at you and possibly me.
All right, I'll see. Is sorry, he texts back like, well, all right, and it's shrugging emoji. And then immediately follows it up with see you at the community center then and it's the winky face emoji and then hearts.
Like you're just gonna hear Arjun do like you see Arjun post like a couple of like face palm like emojis like yep, all right, I'll see you there.
I head on over.
Josephine at Scary Dog Friend plays the architect and edits the show. The biggest thanks to Minerva McJanda for creating our system, Void Heart Symphony. You can find Josephine producing actual plays at Bad House RPG and Nameless Domain. Other podcasts you can find her include Someplace to Be, a system-hopping actual play with an indie focus, and Monster Fuckers Anonymous, rating and dating your favorite monsters everywhere you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again to Goblets and Gays for hosting us, and all the music you hear today is from Epidemic Sound.
Abhishek Matange, he/him, plays Arjun Kumar. You can find him voice acting, as well as starring in other TTRPG APs, such as Zenith over at Sword and Key, premiering August 29th, as well as Ironsworn the Valley Season 2 over at Nerds with Dice, premiering September 5th. You can also find him being a huge tokusatsu nerd over at neon_Raiden at twitter.com.
Alyssa at A Disaster Career plays Chloe, Penitent. You can find them here on Goblets and Gays, for our Pathfinder series Tyrant of the Dark Star, as well as on An Unwavering Force, a Star Wars actual play.
Donna, she/her, plays Ren Kong. You can find her voice acting, playing other TTRPGs, and overall being a goofy gal at Shabro on twitter.com.
Leanna Albanese, any pronouns, plays Halcyon. You can find them acting, producing, and generally goofing around at Leanna Albanese on all platforms.
Valiant Dorian at Valiant Dorian or at Otso Spirit Bear plays Varun Pillai. You can find him as a main cast member of Transplanar RPG's The Chaos Protocol, hosting his TTRPG talk show Dicey Banter, and designing wild-hearted, monstrous games like his in-development TTRPG The Beast Within, a grungy action RPG with a werebeast twist.
I'm gonna take that back so he doesn't sound like so gay.
We're all gay here.
We're all gay.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.